Hello. In this video, witness how one social media post destroys years of promised trust. Meet Mara Voss, recording her plea to Theo, the friend who chose likes over loyalty. Beneath the surface of their old vows lurks a cold truth about modern betrayals no one admits. Let's begin. The room is a dim cocoon, lit by the soft glow of a single desk lamp and the flickering blue of her laptop screen. Mara Voss adjusts the tripod, her hands trembling slightly as she positions the camera, handheld feel, even if it's mounted, to capture the raw edges of her face. Posters of forgotten concerts peel at the corners. A half-empty coffee mug steams beside scattered notebooks. She's curating intimacy here, a confessional booth in her cluttered apartment, where the city's hum filters through the window like distant judgment. She sinks into the worn armchair, bracelet slipping down her wrist. The frayed one, threads unraveling like whispered secrets. It was Theo's gift, back when promises felt unbreakable, tied during that rainy night on the rooftop, vowing eternal loyalty through every storm. Hope flickers as she cues the old video. Grainy footage of them laughing at a dive bar, arms linked, her head on his shoulder. We'll always have each other's backs. His voice crackles, young and sure. Her chest warms, a fragile optimism blooming. Maybe she can fix this, pull him back from the edge. But then she scrolls forward to the new clip, the one that shattered it all. Social media feed time-stamped last week. Theo's post, a smug selfie with her ex, the caption slicing like glass. Some friendships are just placeholders. The betrayal blooms public, humiliating, weaponized for likes. Her breath hitches. She pauses the video, fingers hovering over record. The bracelet catches the light, its colors faded, one strand dangling loose. How many times has she ignored the fraying? Clung to the knot as if tightening it could mend the weave. "Hi," she starts, voice steady at first, leaning into the lens like an actress stepping into role. "This is for you, Theo. Or maybe just for me. Remember our promise? The one where we said we'd never let each other fall?" Hope lingers in her tone, a plea woven in. But as she speaks, doubt creeps, eyes darting to the paused screen, the evidence unblinking. Her words falter. I thought if I held on, you'd see. But this?" She gestures vaguely, anxiety tightening her throat, pulse quickening. The room feels smaller, the air heavy with unsaid accusations. Can she keep reciting the vow when the video screams it's already in tatters? She stops the recording, bracelet twisting under her fingers, hope curdling into a knot of unease. The question hangs, unanswered in the silence. As the echoes of that first attempt fade, the screen flickers to life in golden hues, a montage unfurling like a cherished scrapbook torn at the edges. Mara sits alone in her dim apartment, the glow of her laptop casting shadows across her face, her fingers hovering over the record button. She presses play on an old video, and the warmth blooms. Theo and her, young and unbreakable, laughing under a summer sun in the city park. "We promise," Theo says, his voice clear and fervent, clasping her hand. "No secrets, no letting each other fall. We're in this forever." The camera catches the glint of their matching friendship bracelets, simple leather cords woven with beads of blue and gold, symbols of that vow etched in youthful fire. Mara smiles faintly now, watching, her thumb tracing the frayed one still looped around her wrist, its threads loosening like whispers of doubt. Cut to another memory. A rainy night, huddled in a coffee shop, steam rising from mugs as they trade confessions. "I'll always have your back," Mara echoes in the footage, her eyes bright with loyalty. The image warms the frame, saturated colors of amber lights and shared secrets. But as the montage quickens, the light dims. A title card fades in. The promise. Now, overlaid flashbacks stutter. Theo's late texts, excuses piling like unspoken compromises. Mara pauses the video, her breath catching. In the recollection, she sees it now. The way his charm masked the first small betrayals, a cancelled plan here, a half-truth there. The bracelet on her arm feels heavier, its beads dull under the lamp's feeble glow, one strand unraveling further as she tugs at it absently. The screen splits. Past warmth on one side, present chill on the other. Mara leans closer, eyes narrowing as another clip plays, a group outing where Theo's laughter rings hollow, his gaze drifting to someone else while she clings to the vow. Nostalgia pulls her in, a cozy ache, but doubt creeps like fog, cooling the glow to a muted gray. She replays the promise scene, but now the audio crackles faintly, his words tinged with something off. Sincerity stretched thin by the compromises she ignored. The bracelet slips slightly, catching on her skin, a quiet abrasion. Can these memories stay pure, untouched, when the promises they cradle already hide the sting of pain? The montage accelerates, images blurring, supportive hugs fading into awkward silences, the city's neon buzz underscoring emotional distance. Mara's face tightens, anxiety etching lines around her eyes, the warmth ebbing into a restless dimness. Trust teeters on that edge, shadows of those quiet concessions lengthening across the frame. In the midst of this unraveling montage, Mara's fingers hovered over the phone screen, the dim glow casting shadows on her cluttered desk. Scattered notes from their old promise, the frayed bracelet coiled like a serpent beside her laptop. She was midway through scripting her confession video, words tumbling in her mind like fragile apologies, still laced with that stubborn hope. Theo could be reached, couldn't he? One more plea, and the warmth would return. The notification chime sliced the quiet, sharp as a crack in glass. She tapped it absently, expecting a benign ping from Rin or a forgotten reminder. Instead, Theo's name bloomed across the feed, his social media post pinned like a trophy. Her breath caught, surprise hit first, a cold jolt that rooted her to the chair. There it was, their sacred promise, the one whispered under streetlights years ago, now twisted into his narrative. Some friends drag you down with their drama, he'd captioned, screenshotting her private texts, the ones where she'd begged him to stop spiraling. Hashtags mocked her loyalty. Rasta toxic ties, Rastich breaking free. Comments piled on, strangers dissecting her words, her vulnerability splayed for likes and shares. Her reputation, built on trust, on being the steady one, crumbled in real time. Colleagues tagging her with pitying emojis, whispers of unhinged already seeding the group chats. Nausea rose, surprise curdling into disgust, thick and bitter in her throat. How could he? The boy who'd sworn forever, bracelet matching hers, now wielding their history like a blade. She scrolled, each swipe a fresh wound, his charming remorse from last week's call exposed as smoke. The illusion shattered. No more veils of he'll come around. This was weaponized intimacy, her trust poisoned, turned against her in public glare. Her hand trembled as she fumbled for the old voice memo app, the one holding their pact recorded in shaky teenage voices. She hit play on impulse, needing the echo of what was. But the file glitched, cracked, static-laced, his laughter fracturing into distortion, her own words warping. We'll always have each other's backs. It looped, broken, the audio splintering like her resolve. Disgust deepened, a visceral churn. She'd excused him so long, chasing ghosts of loyalty while he eroded her from within. She paused the memo, staring at the frozen screen. The city hummed outside her window, indifferent. But inside, the war raged. Defend the promise publicly, craft a response to salvage scraps? Or finally hear the fracture in her own voice, the one screaming for boundaries? The phone buzzed again, another tag, another slice, but she didn't reach for it. Not yet. As the weight of that betrayal settled, Mara's fingers hovered over the phone screen, the notification glowing like a fragile ember in the dim light of her apartment. Theo's message. One last talk? Coffee tomorrow. I owe you that much. Her heart stuttered, a rush of hope flooding in. Maybe this was it. The crack in the wall where she could slip back through, mend the frayed bracelet of their promise with words unsaid too long. She imagined his charismatic smile cracking open, remorse spilling out, the betrayal dissolving like smoke. The warmth of old nights, confessions whispered under streetlights, surged back, pulling her toward yes. She stood, pacing to the mirror by the window. A sleek, one-way slab she'd hung after the therapy sessions, its surface reflecting her, but hiding the world beyond. Elena's voice echoed in her mind from the last recording. What do you see when you look at yourself here? The one who gives, or the one unseen? Mara leaned closer, her breath fogging the glass. In the reflection, her eyes were bright with that relentless hope, the kind that had kept her tethered through his self-sabotage, his hooded apologies. But now, staring back, she saw the strain, the way her shoulders curved inward, guarding a heart already scarred. The inner voice crept in, unbidden, a low hum beneath the hope. This is what he does. Charms you into the fire, then watches it burn. Rin's words from earlier that week sliced through. You're not saving him, Mara. You're losing you. The invitation twisted in her gut, promising closure but whispering of fresh wounds. Another round of his weaponized history, the public humiliation replayed in private barbs. Hope flickered, tense now, coiling into caution. Her hand trembled as she typed a reply, then deleted it. The mirror held her gaze, unyielding, showing only her side of the fracture, while Theo remained opaque, untouchable. Could she step into that dialogue, clutching the promise like a lifeline? Or was this the boundary she'd been too afraid to draw? The phone buzzed again, his follow-up, insistent. She turned away, the reflection lingering like a question she couldn't answer. Soon after, as doubt lingered, Mara's fingers hovered over the laptop keyboard, the screen's glow casting shadows on the frayed friendship bracelet dangling from her wrist. It was a relic, threads unraveling like the promise it once symbolized, tightly woven during late-night confessions with Theo, now picking at the edges of her resolve. She was midway through scripting her video confession, words tumbling out in fragmented bursts. I thought if I just held on. Hope flickered in her chest, a stubborn ember, as she imagined Theo's face softening at her words, the invitation to talk pulling her back toward salvage. Her phone buzzed on the cluttered desk, Rin's name flashing like a warning light. Not a call. Texts, sharp and unyielding, as if Rin could sense the waver in Mara's thoughts from across the city. You're doing it again, Mara. That invite? It's not a bridge. It's bait. He's reeled you in before, and you're swimming right back. Mara's breath caught, her mind racing. She typed back, defensive. It's one talk, to end it right. The promise deserves that. Rin's reply came fast, relentless. Promise? That bracelet on your wrist, look at it. It's falling apart because you've let him yank at it too many times. Every one more chance chips away at you. Logically, how many betrayals before you admit he's not changing? You're not saving the friendship. You're erasing yourself. The words pierced, forcing Mara's gaze to the bracelet. She twisted it, feeling the loose strands snag her skin, a tactile reminder of repeated hurts, the public humiliation Theo had spun from their shared secrets. Internally, the tension coiled, hope whispering that loyalty could mend it, but Rin's logic drilling deeper, exposing the pattern. Why chase a ghost of warmth when it left her hollow? What if I say no? Mara thought, fingers itching to delete the script's hopeful pleas. Another buzz. Then you choose you. Finish that confession. Make it a wall, not a plea. Spell out the no he won't hear otherwise. You've got the power to walk away clean. The embers shifted, hardening into resolve. Mara leaned into the camera, her voice steadying as she revised. No more illusions. The promise ends here. Rin's mirror-like pragmatism reflected back Mara's own denial, distancing Theo's shadow. Loyalty, she realized, started with brutal honesty to the face in the lens. But as she hit record, the question lingered unspoken. Would she keep trading her dignity for the ghost of what was? With Rin's words echoing, Mara hunched over her laptop in the dim glow of her apartment, the screen's blue light carving shadows across her face. The city hummed faintly outside, but inside it was just her breath and the tinny echo from the speakers. She hit play on the voice memo again, the one from Elena's session last week, the file glitching at the edges, a digital crackle like fractured glass underscoring every pause. It was her own voice first, raw and pleading. I can't just walk away, Elena. Theo promised, we promised. Loyalty means fighting for it. Elena's response filtered through, calm and probing, her words a scalpel slicing into the haze. And what are you fighting for, Mara? The promise or the version of yourself that needs to believe it's unbreakable? Loyalty isn't a blindfold. It's a choice. Tell me, where does your devotion end and self-sacrifice begin? Mara's fingers tightened on the edge of the desk, knuckles whitening. Anger surged hot in her chest, a familiar blaze directed at Theo's betrayal. The way he twisted their shared history into a public spectacle, mocking her faith like it was a punchline. How dare he? But as Elena's question looped in the recording, the fury shifted, coiling inward. It wasn't just Theo anymore. It was her, replaying this loop, excusing the fractures because admitting them meant admitting she'd poured herself into a sieve. She paused the file, the crackle lingering like a stutter in the silence. The memo's distortion mirrored it all. Their conversations, once clear and vital, now splintered, impossible to mend without ignoring the breaks. Mara leaned back, eyes tracing the ceiling cracks that spider-webbed like veins. Elena's voice echoed in her mind. Blind devotion hides something uglier, Mara. It lets you erase your own boundaries to carry someone else's guilt. The anger ebbed, replaced by a sharp clarity blooming in her gut. She'd been loyal to the promise, yes, to the ghost of what they had. But at what cost? Her dignity, fraying like that old bracelet in her drawer, worn thin by her refusal to let go. No more chasing absolution for him. The realization settled, heavy but liberating. She owed herself the boundary, not the illusion of unity. She stared at the screen, the paused waveform frozen mid-crackle. To what was she truly loyal now? The echo of a vow, or the line she finally drew for herself? The question hung unanswered in the quiet room. Building on that clarity, Mara hunched over her laptop in the dim glow of her apartment, the screen's blue light carving shadows across her face. The confession video played in loops, raw footage of her eyes, red-rimmed, spilling words she'd rehearsed 100 times. Theo, we promised. But the cursor hovered, unblinking, over the delete key. Her fingers trembled, not from cold, but from the weight of it all. Bitterness coiled in her chest like smoke, thick and acrid. It wasn't just Theo's betrayal, the public post mocking their inside jokes, twisting their history into his punchline. No, it burned deeper, a self-inflicted wound. How long had she ignored the fraying edges? The late-night texts she'd excused as his struggles. The way he'd leaned on her loyalty like a crutch, while she chipped away at her own boundaries to keep the peace. Why did I let it erode me? The thought looped, relentless, her mind a battlefield where hope warred with truth. She paused the video, the room falling silent save for the hum of the fan. On the desk, her phone buzzed faintly. A cracked voice memo from Elena's last session, thumbnail glowing like a fractured relic. She hit play, Elena's voice emerging warped, splintered at the edges. Mara, what if the real hurt isn't his choice, but yours to stay silent? The audio glitched, a sharp crack slicing through the words, mirroring the snap in her chest. It wasn't just a file. It was the echo of her own suppressed line, the boundary she'd drawn in whispers but never voiced. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she rewound her footage. Name it. The thought demanded, an observer in her skull, watching her flinch. To edit out the promise felt like erasure, but clinging to it, that was the poison. Bitterness surged, hot, choking, then ebbed, revealing the clarity beneath. This video wasn't a plea for reconciliation. It was release. Her hand moved, decisive. Delete. We swore we'd protect each other. No public drags, no using our history as ammo. You humiliated me in front of everyone. He shifted, his charismatic smile flickering like a bad signal. Mara, come on. It wasn't like that. I was drunk, venting. You know how we are. Best friends, right? Water under the bridge. I didn't mean to. Stop! Her words sliced the air, external tension coiling in the space between them. This was her choice now, the dominant force, to demand truth or let the fracture widen. Clarity sharpened in her chest, cold and illuminating. Direct question. Did you think about me before you hit send? About the nights we promised to have each other's backs? Theo's eyes darted, deflection his armor. I was hurt too, okay? You bailed on that party, left me hanging. It just slipped out. We're not kids anymore. Promises bend. Bend. The word twisted the bracelet's threads in her mind, the symbol of their bond, worn thin by his endless excuses. She twisted it absently, feeling the rough edges bite her skin. It wasn't bending, Theo. It shattered. You weaponized us. Again. He leaned closer to his camera, remorse hooded in charm. Give me a chance to fix it. Meet up, talk it out like old times. No more. The clarity bloomed into something freer, a liberation uncoiling from her gut. She chose the boundary, firm as the no she'd rehearsed in her confession video. The promise is dead, Theo. Trust doesn't bend back. We're done. His face crumpled, rejection of responsibility etching lines around his mouth. Mara, wait. She ended the call, the screen going black. The bracelet slipped off her wrist, frayed ends trailing like forgotten vows. She let it fall to the floor, the weight lifting, but the question lingered in the quiet. Was she truly ready to bury the trust forever? After the call's abrupt end, the dim glow of Mara's laptop screen flickered across her face, casting shadows like cracks in porcelain. She sat cross-legged on the worn rug of her apartment, the city hum muted beyond the window. A distant pulse she no longer synced with. In her hand, the phone trembled slightly, thumb hovering over play. The last voice memo from Theo. She knew it by heart, but tonight She needed the fracture to echo. She pressed play. Static hissed first, a digital scar from the night he'd left it. Rushed, slurred. The charm curdled into deflection. Mara, come on. You're overreacting. We promised, right? Forever friends. Don't make this bigger than it is. His voice warped midway, a glitchy crack splitting the word promise like brittle ice. It wasn't just the recording. It was them. Communication splintered, her words bouncing back unheard, his always half-formed, evasive. The memo ended abruptly, trailing into silence that stretched, heavy as unspoken accusations. Clarity hit like cold water. This was it, the dead end. No more replaying, no decoding his half-truths for scraps of remorse. The internal churn twisted. Why chase a ghost when the dialogue had died months ago, weaponized into his public jabs, twisting their history into knots she couldn't untie? Her chest tightened, the lie she'd clung to fracturing. Loyalty wasn't salvage. It was surrender. But in that ache, a shift stirred. She set the phone down, the cracked memo's echo fading, and opened the camera app. The red light blinked on, her reflection staring back, eyes raw but steady. No audience, no Theo to witness. This confession was hers alone. I see it now, she whispered into the lens, voice steadying as words poured. The promise we made. It wasn't unbreakable. You broke it, Theo. Not with one betrayal, but by making it a chain. I held on, hoping my effort could mend you, mend us. But listening to that last message, it's clear. Our talks turned one-sided, your voice cracking under the weight of what you wouldn't own. My no doesn't need your echo. It's mine. The words flowed freer, tension uncoiling like a breath held too long. Liberation bloomed in her throat, not joy, but a quiet unburdening, the weight of denial lifting. She leaned closer, the screen's glow warming her skin. I'm closing this loop. Not for you, but for me. The friendship fades, and that's okay. Distance isn't loss, it's space to breathe. She stopped recording, the red light dying with a soft click. The cracked memo lay silent beside her, its fracture a relic. Would this end the cycle? Let her step forward without the pull? The question lingered, unanswered, as she exhaled into the night. In the culmination of this unraveling, the camera trembles in Mara's hand. Its lens a cold eye fixed on her reflection in the one-way mirror of the dimly lit room. She perches on the edge of her bed, the frayed friendship bracelet dangling from her wrist like a relic from another life. The weight in her chest presses down, heavy as the unspoken words she's carried for months. Theo's betrayal, the promise shattered, not just broken, but twisted into a weapon against her. Her eyes, shadowed and raw, meet the glass where only she stares back, unseen from the other side. No audience but herself. I thought if I held on tighter, she begins, voice cracking like the voice memo that ended it all. The promise would mend. That loyalty could glue the pieces back. The words spill out, thick with the old ache, her fingers twisting the bracelet until it bites into her skin. Doubt coils inside her. Can she really let this go? The mirror reflects her furrowed brow, the tension in her jaw, as if the glass demands she confront the lie she's lived. That his remorse would come, that forgiveness was her duty. But then, a shift. She exhales, slow and deliberate, the air leaving her lungs like ballast dropping from a sinking ship. The bracelet slips from her fingers, landing softly on the rumpled sheets. No, she says, firmer now, the word a boundary drawn in the air. The promise died with your silence, Theo. It wasn't mine to resurrect. Her gaze softens in the mirror, the hardness melting into something lighter, unburdened. Relief blooms, tentative at first. warming her voice as she leans closer to the lens. I'm done waiting for echoes that never come. From now on, I build with those who see me, who honor the whole of me, not just the parts they need. She pauses, the camera capturing the micro-tremor of her lips, curving into a half-smile, eyes brighter, less haunted. The one-way mirror holds her image. A woman emerging from the fog of denial, whispering vows to herself. New circles, reciprocal trust, a life where integrity isn't begged for. Yet as she hits record's end, a whisper lingers in the quiet room. Will the past's shadow fade enough to let her step forward unafraid?